Welcome to latest News Blaster. When the news first broke that Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton had divorced, fans all over the world were left in disbelief. For years, the couple had been considered one of Hollywood's most unlikely yet beautiful love stories. Two people from completely different worlds, who somehow found love in each other's arms. Gwen, the pop rock queen with her platinum hair and edgy style, and Blake, the down-to-earth country singer with his Oklahoma roots, seemed like opposites that completed each other perfectly. Their romance had begun on the set of The Voice, where both of them found comfort after painful separations, Gwen from her ex-husband Gavin Rossdale, and Blake from his former wife Miranda Lambert. Their shared heartbreak drew them together. What started as emotional support quickly turned into a love that seemed genuine, strong, and unbreakable. Fans admired how they balanced their differences, blended their families, and publicly supported one another through everything. But as time went on, the glamorous public image began to show small cracks, ones that no one wanted to believe were real. The rise of a love story everyone rooted for. When Gwen and Blake announced their relationship in 2015, it was met with mixed reactions. Some doubted their compatibility, others thought it was a publicity stunt. But the two stars proved everyone wrong. They sang together, appeared hand in hand on red carpets, and posted adorable pictures that captured genuine happiness. Gwen would often call Blake her best friend, while he would describe her as the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Their chemistry was undeniable, in interviews, in music videos, even on stage. Songs like Nobody But You and Happy Anywhere reflected their deep affection and unity. Fans believed they were destined to last forever. And when they finally married in 2021 on Blake's Oklahoma ranch, in an intimate, heartfelt ceremony, the world celebrated. It felt like a fairy tale ending. But life, as both Gwen and Blake would later admit, is not always like the songs they sing. The silent struggles behind the scenes. Despite the loving smiles and laughter, close friends of the couple revealed that Gwen and Blake had begun to grow apart. The challenges of balancing their careers, lifestyles, and family dynamics quietly took a toll. Gwen, who thrives in the buzzing city life of Los Angeles, missed her world of fashion, performance, and creative chaos. Blake, on the other hand, felt most at peace on his ranch in Oklahoma, away from flashing cameras, social pressure, and non-stop celebrity culture. Their differences, once charming, began to clash. Gwen would fly back to LA for her commitments and kids, while Blake stayed behind to tend to his land and focus on simpler living. What used to be a source of excitement, two different worlds colliding, slowly became a point of distance. Sources claimed that Gwen sometimes felt isolated from Blake's slower country lifestyle, while Blake, in turn, struggled to adapt to the fast-paced, image-driven pop world Gwen lived in. The emotional connection that once held them together began to weaken. They loved each other deeply, but they were slowly realizing that love alone might not be enough to keep two vastly different lives together. The divorce that shocked the world. When the couple finally announced their divorce, it hit fans like a storm. Social media exploded with heartbreak and disbelief. Both Gwen and Blake released calm, respectful statements. No bitterness, no blame, just sadness. Sometimes love means letting go, one close friend quoted Gwen as saying. Blake reportedly said that he would always cherish Gwen for what she brought into his life, her joy, her strength, and her love for his family. The divorce was finalized quietly, away from the public eye, which only fueled more speculation. Many wondered if fame had torn them apart, or if the distance between their worlds had simply become too great to bridge. The unexpected reunion. Months after the divorce, fans were stunned when reports surfaced that Gwen Stefani had flown to Oklahoma to meet Blake Shelton. The visit wasn't for a publicity stunt, and it wasn't for a performance. It was deeply personal. Gwen was seen arriving in a casual outfit, without any entourage or press. Those who witnessed the encounter described the moment as heartfelt and emotional. The two were said to have spent hours together, talking quietly near the ranch, where they had once built memories. Blake reportedly looked emotional, and Gwen's eyes were filled with tears as they spoke. No one knows exactly what was said that day, but people close to them revealed that Gwen wanted closure, and perhaps One last chance to reconnect, even if only as friends. Why Gwen needed to see him again. Gwen had always been open about how much Blake changed her life. After her painful divorce from Gavin Rossdale, she had lost faith in love. Blake helped her find joy again. He reminded her that it was okay to love and trust. According to an insider, Gwen told a friend, "You don't just walk away from someone who healed your heart. Even if things don't work out, you still need to say goodbye properly." That's exactly what this meeting was about. Not rekindling romance, but closure, forgiveness, and gratitude. For Blake, it was also important. Despite moving on and focusing on his quiet life, Gwen remained a part of his soul. The visit allowed them to face their pain with honesty and grace. A conversation filled with emotion. Eyewitnesses described the meeting as intimate and quiet. There were no harsh words, no arguments, just tears, laughter, and reflection. They reportedly talked about how fast everything had changed, from singing love songs on stage to living separate lives. Blake expressed that he still wished Gwen nothing but happiness. Gwen, in turn, thanked him for loving her during one of the darkest periods of her life. At one point, Gwen was seen wiping her tears as Blake hugged her gently, a moment that many described as the closure of a chapter that once brought so much light. It wasn't a reunion for rekindled romance. It was a final act of love in its purest form, wishing each other peace. The lessons they learned. Both Gwen and Blake have since reflected on the lessons they took from their relationship. Gwen has spoken in interviews about learning to accept herself and embrace growth. She once said, "Life doesn't always go the way you plan, but that doesn't mean it wasn't beautiful." Blake, meanwhile, emphasized the importance of patience and compassion in relationships. On a talk show, he mentioned, "Sometimes people come into your life to remind you what real love feels like. Even if it doesn't last forever, it changes you forever." Their story reminds everyone that not all love stories are meant to end in forever. Some exist to teach us, heal us, and make us better. Fans' reactions, tears, and support. When photos and details of Gwen's visit surfaced online, fans were overwhelmed with emotion. Social media was filled with messages of love and nostalgia. Seeing them together again, even just as friends, broke my heart, but also gave me peace. They were my favorite couple. I hope they find happiness, even if it's apart. Real love doesn't always end with a wedding. Sometimes it ends with understanding. The world watched, as two people who once shared everything faced each other again, not as lovers, but as two souls grateful for what they once had. Moving forward, with grace. Today, both Gwen and Blake are focusing on their separate journeys. Gwen is channeling her emotions into new music. Fans believe some of her upcoming songs reflect her healing process and her memories with Blake. Blake has returned to his life in Oklahoma, spending time with family, writing songs, and embracing peace. In a recent post, he shared a simple yet meaningful quote: "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a person, and sometimes it's a memory." Those words resonated deeply with fans who understood exactly what he meant. A love that never truly ends. In truth, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton's story isn't one of failure. It's one of courage. It takes strength to love deeply, but even more strength to let go gracefully. Their connection may have changed form, but it hasn't disappeared. You can see it in the way they still speak respectfully about each other, in the nostalgia that surrounds their old duets, and in the quiet affection that lingers whenever their names are mentioned together. As Gwen herself once said, "Every love leaves a mark. Blake will always be part of my story." And for Blake, Gwen will always be the woman who walked into his life when he needed hope the most. So when Gwen came to meet him after their divorce, it wasn't out of regret or longing. It was out of love, respect, and the need to honor what they once shared. The final goodbye. As the sun set over Blake's Oklahoma ranch that evening, Gwen reportedly stood by the familiar porch where they had once laughed, danced, and dreamed together. Blake joined her quietly, and the two looked out over the fields, a silent goodbye to the life they had built and the love that had changed them both. No cameras, no spotlight, just two hearts finding peace. It was a reminder that true love doesn't always mean holding on forever. Sometimes, the most powerful kind of love is the one that